Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Braintree. I want to thank Governor Healey and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for choosing Braintree this morning for their announcement of a new bill providing communities like ours additional tools and partnership opportunities to strengthen our infrastructure resiliency and disaster preparedness. I'm especially proud this morning to be standing here not only as the mayor of Braintree, but also myself, a registered professional civil engineer in Massachusetts, with a deep understanding for how hard and costly the work for infrastructure resiliency and disaster preparedness is. As an engineer, sure, we can design basically anything, but we need partners to fund it, and we need sites to site the projects so that the impacts are not just for the communities that projects are located in, but for the benefit of all of the citizens of our Commonwealth. And I know that Governor Healey has assembled a great team, many of us standing here today to do just that. And as I'm sure many leaders standing alongside me on stage this morning, I especially want to recognize Salem Mayor Dominic Pangalo, Senator John Keenan, our representative in Braintree, Mark Cusack, and members of the Braintree Town Council who are joining us here this morning, District 1 Councilor Julia Flaherty, District 2 Councilor Joseph Reynolds, District 3 Councilor Elizabeth Maglio, District 4 Councilor Anne Marie Quilty, and District 6 Councilor Peter Morin. And for the leaders that are sitting amongst us too in the audience here this morning, I'm sure we could all attest to this, that leading for the future
that come with it. The Mass Ready Act saves people money and jumpstarts housing, culvert repairs, and other infrastructure projects by streamlining the permitting process. That was a charge to our team. Streamline those regulations, streamline the permitting. We got a lot to do, and we got to get after it and get it done as quickly as possible. It cuts down on the number of projects that need to go through a lengthy environmental review, and it makes the process faster and cheaper for everyone. It also equips our local fire departments with the things that they need to battle wildfires, which we see with too much frequency these days. It invests in our farming and coastal communities that give us local produce and seafood. It protects people getting home insurance by making sure they know if a property has flooded in the past. It makes our water safer to drink, and it invests in outdoor spaces that we love, from our beaches to our parks to our lakes and rivers. We know that all of these investments that I just mentioned, improve the quality of life. They also save money. We believe that every dollar invested through this bond bill, every dollar invested in resilience efforts like this, is going to provide another $10 in benefits to our families and to our communities. Look, here in Massachusetts, we've been ranked recently the best state to live. That's for 2 years in a row now. The best state to have a baby, best state to raise a family, best economy. That's not to say that we don't have our challenges. We do, and we're working on building housing every single day and lowering costs. But right now, it is true that we cannot count on the President or Congress to be there to make the investments that we want to see made in Massachusetts in our communities. They're in fact doing the opposite and taking away from and undermining important investments on a whole bunch of fronts. So in the face of that, all the more important that we take action, like the action that we're taking today. We're building housing, we're building the infrastructure we need, while also protecting our environment and making it more resilient. In Massachusetts, we can and we will do both. I want to thank everyone on my team and all the partners who came together to make this happen, and we look forward to working with our colleagues in the legislature. Thank you, Chair Cusack. Thank you, Senator Keenan. We look forward to getting this over the goal line and back to my desk for signature at some point. Thank you, and I invite Secretary Rebecca Tepper, our great Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs, and I really credit Rebecca for her leadership on everything from, busting through quickly permitting and siting reform, so we're bringing energy online more quickly. She and the team did that, to, helping to develop this Mass Ready bill, which is really exciting to be able to announce today. Secretary Tepper.
it's so exciting to look out and see this, so many people here today who have helped us come to the place where we are today with this bill. And we met with over 300 stakeholder groups about this bill. The governor wanted it to be a group project, and that's what it was. And we worked really hard with all of you, with our internal colleagues. I'm seeing many of our team here today, and just really happy that you all came on this hot day to help us celebrate this bill that we're very excited about. The river project that you were just talking about is exactly the kind of project that we want to support through this Mass Ready Act. It's about using dollars in a smart way, fixing things that need to be fixed, and doing it before they become emergencies. As the governor noted, but every dollar that we invest and we spend now on strong infrastructure and natural restoration, we save us up to $13 down the road when extreme weather hits. That's less damage to clean up, fewer roads to repair, and fewer families put at risk. As many of you know, right now, Massachusetts has about 3,000 dams. Over 200 of them are in poor condition. Most were built more than 100 years ago. If one of them breaks, it floods an entire neighborhood. We also have 25,000 culverts and small bridges across the state. Many of them are too small for the kind of rain that we are now getting here in Massachusetts. And as you know, when they clog and overflow, roads shut down, emergency vehicles can't get through, and that means our communities can be cut off. This bill gives cities and towns the help they need. It removes old, unsafe dams and replaces broken culverts before disasters hit. We're also putting money into places that people use every day, our parks, our trails, and boat ramps. And as we all know, and it has remained true since COVID, the importance of being able to be outside and for everybody to be outside is critical to our well-being and to making sure that we are a fair state. Here at the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, this year we are calling the year of implementation. We have done a lot of planning. Now we are making those plans a reality. The Mass Ready Act authorizes $200 million for coastal resilience. This allows our coastal communities to implement projects to protect against storms and sea level rise. We're putting $20 million behind our biodiversity goals, which will accelerate our work to protect the land, waters, and wildlife that makes our state so special. And we're putting funding to the programs that we know work, like the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, which has already helped 99% of Massachusetts communities assess their local climate risk and plan for the future. This $315 million investment gives them tools to act. And through this bill, we're establishing a new resilience revolving fund. This fund will provide low-interest loans to cities, towns, and tribal governments and water districts so they can pay for critical projects like stormwater systems, water upgrades, and road improvements. It's one more way to give local leaders the options that they need to keep their communities safe. We're also doubling down on food security. Our Food Security Infrastructure Grant Program is getting funding to support our farms and producers, providing 4.5 million meals a month to people in nearly every municipality in the state. That means more fresh, local, and seafood, and fewer people going hungry. As the governor has said, protecting water and nature is also part of this legislation. Massachusetts already leads the country when it comes to protecting water, but we can do even better. The Mass Ready Act puts dollars into removing harmful chemicals like PFAS so every community can trust what comes out of their taps. That's $505 million that we're providing for clean water, infrastructure, and PFAS remediation. We're also protecting forests, which help absorb floodwaters, keep the air clean, store carbon, and often offer space for people to recharge. Our goal is to conserve land in a way that supports wildlife, protects drinking water, and keeps working landscapes productive. Massachusetts is also leading the country in the growth of outdoor recreation. We had the fastest growth in outdoor recreation jobs and spending of any state last year. And that's a real economic driver to communities and to all of our quality of life. So I'll just conclude by saying that this bill is about being ready. It's being ready for floods and wildfires that we do know are coming. But it's also about building something better, stronger communities, cleaner water, healthier land, and opportunities across the state. Excuse me. I also want to thank Secretary Gorkowitz and his team, who have spent hours and hours with us working on the how this money is going to work, and Secretary Augustus, who helped us with the housing piece of this and the permitting piece, and Chief Hoffer and her team, who helped us on every aspect of this bill and really made it a better bill with the cooperation that we had together. And before I leave, I just want to talk for just really quickly about our incredible team at EEA. You know, I will say that when we started this, I said, who is the person who could take on this huge task of bringing everybody together and working together to try to come up with a bill that would work for so many people? And that person is Stephanie Cooper, Undersecretary Cooper. As I can tell from your applause, you all agree with me that Undersecretary Cooper was the person to lead this endeavor, and you know, not only is she terrific at her job, but she's just a good person, and so I just want to thank her for all her work. And Undersecretary Antos also spent a lot of time on particularly on the resilient loan piece of this, which was complicated because it was new, and we had to figure out how to do that. So let me just name a couple other people: Paul Janahy, Tori Kim, Commissioner Heupel, Commissioner O'Shea, Commissioner O'Shea, Commissioner Randall, Commissioner Arrigo, Caroline Higley, Lindsay McCauley, Ivy Powers. I'm just looking for people so I can read their eye. Johannes Buchanan, which I know he's here. Allison Brizos, Maya Mansfield, and Reed Porter, who is a lawyer who in the end really had to make sure we did this all right. So really want to thank him. So, you know, they took all these ideas and delivered something that I think is going to make a real difference in people's lives and preserve our state's unique identity. So thank you very much for being here. We're excited to make this all come true with all of your help.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Adam Chapdelaine, and I'm proud to serve as the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Municipal Association, or the MMA. We represent all 351 cities and towns across the Commonwealth. When Secretary Antos called me and asked if I would say a few words today, my first question was, does Braintree Town Hall have air conditioning? And thank you, Mayor. It's great. It's working great. So obviously there's going to be a lot of themes that we hear from all the speakers today, but as we stand here in the midst of this intense heat wave, which is, you know, one of the legs of the stool of climate change, what better time to acknowledge the realities of our changing climate? So whether it be heat, coastal or inland flooding, or wind damage from a convective storm, we all know the climate's changing in real time, and these changes prompt very real impacts on cities and towns, their residents, and the infrastructure that they're responsible for maintaining. So that's why I'm proud to stand here today to applaud the Healey-Driscoll administration, the team at EEA, for their bold Mass Ready Act proposal. The investments proposed are timely, significant, and they're truly evident of a state and local partnership on the critical issue of climate resiliency. So you've already heard mention of it, but historic funding proposed for the MVP, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, for water infrastructure, for coastal resilience. These are all critical for helping local governments achieve a climate-resilient future. I think it's also important to mention that EEA led a truly impressive stakeholder engagement process in preparing this proposal. Excuse me. They met with dozens of local officials and members of our team, when we're joined by today Josie Alberg, from all corners of the Commonwealth. And the end result reflected the needs and concerns of local government officials. And I think at the end, the proposal that you're all seeing today is good policy that's going to get the job done. So I'm very pleased to be here to lend our support. I look forward to working with the governor and the legislature in seeing this bill become a reality. I think it's now my job to introduce from the Nature Conservancy, Steve Long.
Good morning. I just want to thank the Healey-Driscoll administration, Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Secretary Tepper, and the undersecretaries, and the whole team. This leadership on Mass Ready is noteworthy. And I really appreciate the opportunity to make some remarks. My name is Steve Long. I'm the Director of Policy and Partnerships with the Nature Conservancy in Massachusetts. The Conservancy is a global conservation organization whose mission is to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends. And in Massachusetts, we're really proud because we believe the Commonwealth inspires the nation and the rest of the world with its leadership on climate action and environmental policy. So we hold up Massachusetts to our colleagues across the country and across the globe. The bond legislation being filed today is the whole package. It provides a suite of funding and policy solutions to help Massachusetts meet the dual crises of climate change and biodiversity loss. This bond provides the most holistic approach I've seen across 4 environmental bonds that I've lobbied on since 2008. It's like a Swiss Army knife that provides a multifaceted funding and policy solutions. And Mass Ready funding will provide a return on investment that will boost climate resilience by restoring natural systems to reduce heat, prevent flooding, and cut community costs. It will safeguard clean water by protecting land and tackling pollution at its source. It will defend wildlife and nourish communities by conserving vital habitats where plants and animals thrive. Mass Ready will also help meet the ambitious goals laid out by the Healey-Driscoll administration and the legislature. As Secretary Tepper said, it's the era of implementation. We have all these goals. We aspire to conserve 30% of land by 2030 and 40% by 2050. These are bold targets to protect nature for future generations. We aspire to achieve net zero emissions by unlocking every acre's potential to store and sequester carbon. And we're also working to align land use with the big picture, balancing conservation, housing, and energy development through integrated planning. We're also working to advance statewide biodiversity goals with the ambitious goals that will soon come out in the statewide biodiversity plan. We're also excited by the policy changes that will help ensure healthier rivers, salt marshes, and coastal areas. The proposed streamlining of policies will enable a more efficient and equitable restoration of salt marshes, removal of obsolete dams, and right-sizing culverts and bridges. And I'm just so impressed that the governor in her State of the State message mentioned culverts. The Conservancy is just one member of the Commonwealth Conservation Council, a group of NGOs, watershed groups, land trusts, et cetera, who've been working and supporting and collaborating with the administration on the bond priorities. And we look forward to advocating the legislature and working with the administration for a strong bond bill that meets the moment for people and nature and sharpens that Swiss Army knife. Thanks again for your leadership. Greatly appreciated. Now I'd like to introduce Ben Clark, who is the owner of Clarkdale Farms in Deerfield.
Thank you very much. As Chris said, my name is Ben Clark. I'm a fourth generation fruit grower in Deerfield out in Western Mass. Like everyone else has said, I'm very glad to not be in the orchard right now. So thanks for moving us indoors. So my farm was started in 1915 by my great-grandfather. Myself and my father Tom currently run it. We grow 40 acres of apples, peaches, pears, plums, and cherries. Primarily sold directly to consumers through our farm store. And we also participate in the SNAP HIP program as well as Farmers Market coupon program so we can ensure local food and healthy food can be accessible to all residents. As everybody knows, I'm sure, first of all, I want to thank the administration, especially Ashley, for inviting me here today. And I'm proud to support farmers because this is a bill that really will make an impact for us. Farming has always been a tough job, but the challenges have really intensified the last few years due to extreme weather we've experienced in Western Mass. And this recent heat wave, can really prove to it that our crew currently, we're only doing half days, as most farms are, just because it's too dangerous, any outdoor work, and that really cuts productivity, and then it also affects crops. Going back to 2023, as there's been some reference, that was a year we had a deep freeze that killed our entire peach crop as well as pretty much everybody's crop in the Northeast. We had a late frost in May that really affected our apple and pear crops. And then we were fortunate to not be impacted by the flooding, but a lot of our neighbors in the Pioneer Valley and throughout the state were. And just in the past 5 years, I was talking to my father, he's been farming for almost 60 years. We had the driest year on record, followed by the 2023, which is the wettest year on record. And so more and more of those extreme events are happening. Our neighbor up in the hill towns just had an isolated hailstorm a few weeks ago, which even though the fruit is small at this stage, it really can be devastating impact. So any of the support from the state, and especially as we've lost our federal, any guarantee of federal funding, it's really important. And we're really thankful, going back to 2023 and through now, the Healey administration and the legislature, including our personal reps, Natalie Blais and Senator Joe Comerford, have been really supportive of the farming community. And the resources and programs available help ensure that farming remains viable in the state. Personally, on our farm, we were grateful to receive $120,000 in funds from the 2023 Natural Disaster Recovery Program. And this funding was crucial in helping us recover from a very challenging year. And while we also purchased crop insurance from the federal government, even the year was so bad that we were not fully recouping our losses. So the grant money from the state really allowed us to fill the gap, keep our employees going, and also we were able to purchase a frost fan, trying to mitigate future climate challenges. So with those funds, we've also participated in the Food Security Infrastructure Grant Program, which has been greatly helpful to our farm as well as others in terms of acquiring infrastructure that can help us keep the food system growing and secure in the state. We've also, at our farm, benefited from the Farm Viability Enhancement Program administered through MDAR. And I also want to thank Commissioner Randall again and the whole team at MDAR. It's just wonderful to farmers. They've been a great resource and continues to be really responsive to our needs. The Farm Viability Program provides us with business planning, technical assistance, and grants, all in exchange for a commitment to keep our farmland in agricultural use. Thanks to this, we recently renovated our barn, made irrigation upgrades, and bought new equipment that makes managing our orchard even more efficient. And all this means we're dedicated to keeping our farm active and productive for years to come. And my goal has always been to keep it sustainable for my boys who are 9 and 12, have the option to. No pressure, but I want to keep it a possibility. So those are some examples of how the resources from the Mass Ready Act can make a real difference for farmers like me. The programs have not only provided relief, but also helped us to adapt to the new challenges of the 21st century farming, especially due to weather-related disasters. And I'm also assistant chief on our local fire department, so firsthand have seen a lot of both the wildfires, flooding, a lot of events. So a strong agricultural industry is essential for all our overall economy. The bill matters not just for farmers, but for everyone who relies on our food systems. And I'm glad to see that these investments are being prioritized and excited to see what the future holds. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Tamara Small, the CEO of NAIOP.
Good morning. It's great to see everyone here in Braintree today. My name is Tamara Small, CEO of NAIOP Massachusetts, the Commercial Real Estate Development Association. NAIOP represents the interests of owners, investors, and developers who represent all commercial real estate, including office, industrial, lab, retail, and something we need more of, multifamily housing. Very special thanks to Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Secretary Tepper, and your teams for the work that went into the bill we're discussing here today. And of course, very special thanks to Mayor Joyce for hosting us here in this very cool space. As you've already heard, the Mass Ready Act invests in our infrastructure. It protects our drinking water, and it strengthens our local economies. But it does more than that. The Mass Ready Act proposes expedited pathways to build the housing we need while protecting our environment and advancing resiliency. NAIOP believes that climate resiliency is not just a public health issue or an environmental protection issue, but it's also an economic development issue. For too long, desperately needed housing projects have been bogged down in endless permitting delays, often preventing new housing from ever being built. The Healey-Driscoll administration has prioritized addressing the housing crisis, from creating the Unlocking Housing Production Commission to passing the Affordable Homes Act and setting a production goal of 222,000 units of new housing by 2035. The permitting reforms included in the Mass Ready Act build on that commitment to tackling the housing crisis. Business leaders looking to invest in the Commonwealth cite housing costs as a major concern for Massachusetts' competitiveness, and our current and future residents are bearing the burden of a housing shortage brought on by decades of underproduction. In order to effectively tackle the housing crisis, more housing must be produced, and it must be produced now. The Mass Ready Act ensures we're not choosing between homes and our environment or between resiliency and our residents. We're advancing a bright future for everyone. NAIOP Massachusetts, the Commercial Real Estate Association, looks forward to working with the Healey-Driscoll administration and the legislature to advance this important bill. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and thank you to the administration for your leadership on these critical issues. It is now my pleasure to turn it back over to Governor Maura Healey. Governor?
Tamara, thank you so much. Tamara, thank you so much. We've heard about incredibly important attributes of this legislation, and finally I want to invite up Chrissy Lynch. Tamara touched on this as well, but Chrissy, President of the AFL-CIO, what this means.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, everybody, for having us. I just want to take a moment. We're all really appreciating this AC right now. And I want to take a moment for all the workers out there who don't have the AC right now, who I am very proud to represent. We've got thousands of workers in the field who work for the utilities who are making sure we can all turn our ACs on. We have thousands of postal workers out there still delivering the mail. We've got public works folks who work for this town. We've got lots of construction workers out there. The heat doesn't turn off the job, and I want to take a moment to thank all of them. I really want to thank the Healey-Driscoll administration and Secretary Tepper for the intentionality that you bring to this process to make sure that all stakeholders are part of a conversation that ensures that as we get our state climate resilient and energy ready, we are also making sure we are growing and protecting our middle class and making sure that we are, supporting our communities who need this type of funding. So I want to thank you, proud to partner with you, Gov, LG, Secretary, proud to be part of the team. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and look, with regard to the heat today, do your best to minimize, if you're able to, minimize your time outside today and this week. Wear light clothing, of course, and drink a lot of water. Stay hydrated. Also, make a note of cooling centers in your community. We have several open around the state. And of course, DCR's own beaches, splash decks, pools and the like are open. Just a reminder, of course, don't leave your pets or children in the car for any amount of time at all, and be sure to look in on your neighbors. With that, we're happy to take any questions. Start with on topic. Okay, all set. What's that? Any other questions? Yeah, media, yep. Yep. Well, let me say I spoke with the trooper's family last night and extended my best wishes for a speedy recovery. He sustained serious injuries, and my heart goes out to him and to all who serve and are out there every day trying to protect our communities. The other thing I'll say is that I'm outraged. I've seen the video. I am disgusted and outraged that there would be people driving down the road, essentially mowing down anyone, let alone a law enforcement official who is simply trying to keep our communities safe. I saw it there. I see it in other realms too, whether it's mopeds driving through cities, wreaking all sorts of havoc, nearly creating car crashes and nearly hitting pedestrians every single day, or this kind of absolutely outrageous conduct. I have no patience for it, I have no tolerance for it, and I fully support law enforcement's efforts to eradicate that reckless and dangerous behavior from our communities. Our families, our communities, our people, especially in summer when everyone is out, deserve better. Thank you. All right, stay cool, everybody. Thank you.